What's up, guys? Hey, it's Adam Bielanski here, and I'm coming to you live with my co-host, our awesome, amazing Sean Lardo, leading here the PitchIT program, right?
Yeah, that will be correct. Yeah, yes, right. And I think it's important to say you're coming here live from IT Nation Secure.
Yeah, we are. We are. I am hanging out in my Airbnb, and Sean is in his room over there. So it's the
Right.
final day of IT Nation Secure. It's pretty awesome. It was pretty great experience the past 3 days.
Yes. And unfortunately, I'm in this gloomy room. I can't get very good lighting, so I apologize in advance. However, it has been a good week. It's been nonstop, 8:30 in the morning till 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning. God only knows. So lots of great content. Uh, Actually, probably one of our better shows. I mean, I've been here the last 3 years, so it's been nice to watch it evolve.
Yeah, and so what's cool is what I saw yesterday was actually pitch it contestants pitching 1 minute. They consolidated everything down, and then we had an awesome rapper. We had money being tossed. We it was people brought it. So I'm loving the contestants here.
Yep. You know what? There was a lot of people making it rain yesterday. It was interesting. Lots of money being thrown. So it's impressive. I just wish I had that kind of money to just throw to random people.
Yeah. So every week this is another Wednesday. Next week as well. We get to bring you face to face with some of the brightest innovators in the MSP market. Right. Today is no other, no different. Right. We have two contestants, Nick, and also from ShadowHQ and Mark from HighGround. Right. They're really to showcase their products and so forth. But before we jump into that, Sean, can you just give us a brief overview of PitchIT? What is PitchIT?
Absolutely. So simply put, Pitch It is a Shark Tank like competition, right? We're looking for, and this is for innovators, startup companies that are in the MSP space. They got to be able to fulfill two main things. One is they have to be providing an actual product or service that supports the MSP space, right? Second, they have to be able to integrate into the community that we have at IT Nation and ConnectWise product itself. But yes, it is a competition. They do go through an accelerated incubator program for 16 weeks, but they get a bunch of classes, workshops, and sessions and classes from practitioners in the space while they do live streams and podcast recordings with people like you. Now, as I mentioned, it is a competition, though, right? So at the end of this, we have 26 vendors in right now. We're looking to take it down to 3 finalists, that'll take place in the preliminary pitch off for the battle royale end of August. After that, 3 finalists, they will be showing up to pitch live at IT Nation Connect in November. And they're all vying for the prize of $70,000 for first place and 30 for second.
And steak knives for third.
Steak knives.
Nice. Awesome. So really, I'm loving this program. It's just every year, it just like we have 2 brand new companies on today's show. I have not, seen their products or what. It's just I haven't heard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is really cool because this is something that they get to showcase and be part of this particular program. It's pretty awesome.
I would
Really
agree.
solving.
Think about it. I mean, you were the first to work with me on doing these live streams on year 1, right? For me, right? This is the 6th year for the program. This is our 3rd year together doing this, right? And there's such a drastic difference between the caliber, and not to say that they were any less or any worse, but just the more prepped. And so it's nice to see. I mean, we've doubled in numbers across the board from people of interest in applications. So,
Yeah.
and actually selecting these guys we had a lot more applicants than we have actually in the competition in the program. So we had to remove people, and it was very difficult to eliminate. It was it was definitely the hardest year so far to eliminate people because we didn't know what to do.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But people just don't want to hear us talking, Sean.
I think
Also, if
I
you're
think
happy to join us live,
I think that was told. I think that was told to us last night.
yeah, we were done talking. See, our voices are a little scratchy. It's all good. But if you're joining us live, we want to make sure you're part of the conversation, right? Feel free to drop us some questions, some comments in the chat. Sean and I will be keeping an eye on them and bringing you guys into the insides of this discussion, right? It's important to give some of that critical feedback and
Yep.
understanding and asking those questions, right? We want all, because it's, rising tides raise all boats, right? And so we want to challenge, right, our contestants. We want to, hey, what are you really bringing to the industry? What are you bringing to the space? What problem are you solving? Right, and relate. And today's all about that relation and that connection and understanding the space. So with
Absolutely.
that, Sean, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go Nick. We're gonna bring on Nick. Nick, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Adam, Sean, good to see you.
Good to
Absolutely.
see you.
Good to see you fixed your hair today. It looks nice.
Always a hair joke.
I mean, we're brothers.
Yeah, exactly. So Nick, can you just tell us a little bit about Shadow HQ and what you guys do and what kind of inspired you to start this particular project?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Adam. So essentially, ShadowHQ is an out-of-band cybersecurity incident preparedness and response platform. So imagine a virtual bunker for when you are attacked at 2 a.m., your files are encrypted, your communications are compromised, your systems are down. So what next? It's usually a time of chaos, of panic. But coming to ShadowHQ, you have all the tools, people, documents, and information you need to respond and manage that response quickly so that you can recover quicker from the attack. And a quick recovery is a mitigated recovery, a cheaper recovery. So what got me in there? It's a funny story. To understand my background, my career started 15 years there, and I started after 9/11. So at a time when security and communications were important. So when I left BlackBerry after 15 years, I was head of enterprise mobility engineering. So I had my hands in a lot of the projects spanning, across the globe. When I left there in 2015 to start a software company, we focused on digital transformation, but no matter how far we were running down the software engineering path, secure communication continued to follow us. So like everyone else, we were hearing and seeing all the headlines of ransomware attacks in the news. So we thought to ourselves, like, what are people doing today? Like, I remember back when I was on the disaster recovery teams, I had a binder and they were as big as my head. And they said, put one in your car and one in your house and never be 20 minutes away from them. So just thinking back, I wanted to know what people were doing to respond to ransomware. So I reached out to my network and I talked to a bunch of CIOs and CISOs. And I was kind of blown away that they weren't really thinking about what I would be doing when my accounts are compromised or my systems are down. So thinking, we had all the tools, technology, and expertise. It was almost like a calling to kind of join the fight and help people respond to these threats from a position of strength, rather than giving the threat actors the upper hand and kind of choking you out till you pay the ransom. So that's kind of how we found ourselves stumbled into this little project.
So yeah, just poking around your website and understanding. Let me just understand, and maybe because I break it down very simple.
Oh, I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this one. Ready, watch. Everybody watching now, this is not how you pitch the product. Go.
So my understanding is that it is a platform to be able to streamline your communications around incident, response, is from what I'm gathering. And it looks like it's a platform where we can have meeting rooms, war rooms, and have incidences and logged. So it's, I would say, it's somewhat of a Teams environment, if you will, a Zoom environment. I don't know.
Yeah, no, so secure out-of-band communications is a big component of it. Okay. But really what our focus is all of the end-to-end capabilities with your systems offline. So it might take several weeks to recover. And we're talking about things, not just secure communications, but multi-channel alerts, mass notifications, automated call tree, automating response playbooks. Like up till now,
okay.
Response playbooks live as a flat, lifeless file. So how do we put those into action? So there's no thinking. We automate the incident kickoff, being able to assign those tasks and manage those, get that situational awareness, who's doing what, when, where to store things, real-time incident reporting, post-incident analysis, lessons learned, all while collecting and preserving evidence for downstream audits or investigations, things that come with a cyber attack.
So again, I think the first thing that comes to mind is I've been through enough sessions, and I've also watched people deal with incident response. There's always a few challenges. One is the process they have isn't always up to date, right? Of what to do, like actually knowing what to do step by step. What's the first thing, second thing, third thing, fourth thing, right? Up to including you forgot to call your attorney, right? The second thing is they don't think about how to do the communications. They just assume, like, I'm going to text them or I'm going to call or whatever. Like, no, there's never really a plan in place. So it's literally like a disaster recovery plan, right? like you're, in case of fire, go this way. Here's a sign.
Yeah.
So you're kind of doing both all in one and protecting the conversation that you're having about the incident response as well.
Yeah, and Sean, you bring up a good point. Like you brought up disaster recovery. I mean, let's face it, during a cyber event, there is a convergence of crisis management, incident response, business continuity, and disaster recovery, all kind of coming around the CISO. Whether they like it or not, HR needs a secure place to operate, to perform their continuity pieces, public relations, press releases. Every major event, like a ransomware attack, usually ends up in the media. So how are you getting ahead of that to protect your reputation, your brand, your revenue? So essentially, if we go back to the name of it, Shadow headquarters, like a Shadow HQ. And it kind of came from that whole notion of Shadow IT, the unsanctioned environment, whereas Shadow HQ is your sanctioned, out of band, secure, operational incident room. So
well, you're providing headquarters. That's where the logistics happens. That's where all the work is done. It's everything. It is your fortress essentially to work out of.
And it's not just for the organizations themselves, but in these events, they'll bring in specialists. They might have to bring in authorities, and they'll bring in their MDR. Perhaps their MDR or their vendors are the ones initiating the response. We do have customers that are of the cybersecurity vendors, and they choose Shadow HQ because they need to communicate confidently and securely with their customers, and being able to manage all of those artifacts and the things that they're on the hook for.
Yep.
Awesome.
For sure. Awesome. Well, Nick, appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm going to go put you back in the green room, and we can have a little conversation with Mark here.
But hang tight. We'll bring you back.
Hang tight. All right. And Mark, how you doing, Mark?
Hey, guys. I'm all right.
Hey.
Hey. What time? Mark, what time is it, man?
7:30.
Yeah. A quick story about Mark is that Mark, when I met Mark, sent me all kind of pictures of him being at a Scotch distillery, and it's one of his clients. They're good friends, but Mark hasn't sent me any Scotch or anything. Like, I mean, I don't know. So I don't know. I'm really questioning the friendship. But anyway, moving on. We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Mark.
Yeah. So Mark, HighGround. What do you guys do? What does the product look like? Service look like? What do you guys do?
Yeah. So HighGround's a cybersecurity sales tool for MSPs. And the irony of cybersecurity is like really exciting, amazing technology, but actually selling it to small businesses like really sucks. Right? It's a real letdown, and you're excited about all this technology and what you can do for them, and they don't want to buy it because they don't understand what it is. They don't understand why they need it, and they already feel like they're spending a fortune with you as an MSP. So they just don't really get it. And when the inevitable happens, customer has a security incident, you as the MSP are going to be picking up the pieces no matter what. Right? There's going to be tough conversations with how it happened. Probably going to lose them as a customer, all for something you told them was going to happen, right? And yet they didn't do it. So at HighGround, we're trying to help MSPs to have those conversations in a constructive way, so the customer can understand where all their money goes, why their security is what it is, and why they need to buy what you're offering, and how they need to improve their security. So we try to make it really simple, really easy, because ultimately that's where most small business owners are, and they don't really want to talk about security. So we need to try and push past that as fast as possible and get on with the job of protecting them without dragging it out.
So is this an assessment you're doing for clients, or is this a sales enablement tool, or what exactly are you?
Sales enablement, we're kind of in our own categories, and a few people have said this to me, right? Are you a VCIO tool? Are you a Are you a sales tool? We're kind of an intersection of various different kind of tools. So I would say that sales enablement is a great way to look at it, because MSPs often know how to improve their customer security, but they just can't get it over the line with the customer. They can't understand what it is that they're doing and why they need it. So whereas a typical risk assessment tool would be very technical, you're looking at a lot of controls and looking at frameworks. The customer can't really interpret that. So it's very detailed, but it's kind of impenetrable to them. So we try to take that up to that sort of 30,000 foot view using very high level KPIs and really clear visuals to show the customer what their security posture looks like. So we align that to the NIST cybersecurity framework. We show them using the radar chart how good they are in each of the 5 pillars of NIST. We show them a cyber score, so a 0 to 100, what that looks like. We map all their spend, show them how much money they're spending in all the key areas, and help the customer just first of all understand where they are and how they got there, and before we can go any further.
Gotcha. Okay, so so it's a technology. What's the implementation look like on something like this?
What's the implementation look like?
Yeah, like how they work with you? How do they do when a partner works with you? How are they working with you?
Yeah, so we have integrations with over 40 different tools. So trying to get that data in there as quick as possible and automate that as fast as we can is key. So in order to build up those the spend dashboards of how much they're spending, we take all that data right out of ConnectWise Manage and map that really quickly. So that takes a huge amount of time out of it. As for the attestation of the customer security posture, the MSP knows best. They know what the customer has, and they can quickly rattle through that in less than 30 seconds. A customer very quickly attest what they have, because most customers don't have that much, which is the reality. And then working with beyond there, we help MSPs to build their security stack, review what they have and what they need to be selling, so that they can build and sell better security offerings for their customers. So we're doing that through group onboardings, because nobody really wants to pay for onboarding, and oftentimes there's a lot of collaboration to be had by working with each other and what products and services are all providing and how best to package those together.
Awesome. So you're sort of trending on a couple of different categories by being the VCIO piece, as well as an assessment of tool sorts. I mean, so yeah, you're treading, man. Which I appreciate, by the way, because I mean, you're solving for multiple. You're trying to solve for the one main issue amongst the multiple areas. So I do appreciate that too.
Yeah. One last question before we bring Nick back on. So, what really kind of drove you to start this particular organization, start developing the software?
I've thought a lot about this question, and I think fundamentally it was just getting fed up of getting my ass kicked by customers and QBRs, right? It's not fun, and you spend all that amount of time trying to build complex security offerings and try to really work the detail, like you were saying a minute ago, Sean, only for the customer to like read the front page and then just throw the 40-page report away and still not buy it, and you've spent days of time. I thought there has to be a better way. This is, and as an MSP owner myself, we were dealing with the problem directly every day, so it wasn't something that we could really ignore. So yeah, just solving our own pain, really.
That's fair, and it is a pain. So yeah, let's bring everybody back on, because we can talk more about this, I think, right?
Oh, for sure, definitely. Okay, 1 second here. Boom and boom. Nick, how's it going? Back in here. Oh, look, there you go. Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Gentle Dad. I don't know.
It's
a family
awesome.
show. It's a family show.
It's a family. It's family fun tonight. That's right.
He likes bourbon even more than you two boys do.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I welcome that.
Yeah. So yeah, going down and looking at your product, and Nick, this is kind of, I'll start off with you. Is kind of what was one of maybe the biggest challenges you've had kind of working through and developing this particular product? You kind of asked me to start off with that kind of question a little bit in our green room. You are muted, by the way. So.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I only in a sense that one of the biggest challenges, like I had listed for myself, was the transition from a software engineer to the sales and marketing and the founder-led culture that we have, like founder-led sales. As an engineer, software is binary. It compiles into switches of on and off, whereas sales and marketing is more of an art, emotion, psychology, that type of things. I know the spirit of your question was more of a challenge on the business side, but
Yeah.
Having been in the software space and in software services, showing up to the cybersecurity industry as a new guy, where your target market, like CISOs, are trained to be suspicious, and people tend to buy from trusted sources and so on. So that was probably one of the biggest challenges, is cutting through all that noise and becoming your own, carving out your own little corner in the industry. So getting known and being getting trusted, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Mark, what about yourself? What's kind of been some of the biggest challenges you've experienced going through, growing and developing this company and the software?
Yeah, staying in the game, if I'm being honest. We've
Yeah.
been building this thing at our own cost for 4 years. So just sustaining it has probably been the single biggest challenge. And it's not just financially sustaining it, but also sustaining it because the rate of change in cybersecurity means your product's constantly changing too. So you're constantly having to innovate and upgrade what you're doing. I look back at some of our very original security scoring rules that we built, and they have changed beyond recognition in only 4 years. So just trying to keep pace is really, really challenging.
So a question then, so you both are kind of coming from the same perspective of what you're trying to, like, what the problem is, sounds like, right? One of you, and as far as maintaining pace or whatever, what are you guys doing to maintain pace? How are you guys keeping up at this point? And we can start with Mark, while you're still talking, and we can come right back to you.
It's working longer and harder. As a startup, like, what else is there, right? I mean, try to be smart, but
there's nothing. Actually, as a startup, there's nothing else in life. It's just that. It's like it's there. Like, literally, you're in the shower and it's looking at you in the face. It's like, leave me alone. Yeah. So for Nick, what kind of steps have you taken to maintain your brand awareness and whatnot?
Any and everything. So keeping us in the game. Luckily, we had the experience of running our software company, so that's supporting us. So that's how we're bootstrapped. But keeping our name in the game or out there is just looking at every channel, doing joining different networks and getting yourself out there. Really, it's important to grow that awareness. Is that your question, more of how we getting out there, or how
I think you said a valid point. If you're an outsider coming in and unknown, you gotta, before you can even talk about your product, you have to establish credibility as a professional and as a product, right? And people won't necessarily, if people don't know you, they don't necessarily give it time of day, especially for any kind of complementary product or competing products, right? It's about getting in the door of people first, right? So it is about brand awareness ultimately, right? They have to know you have your strong brand, you know what you're doing, you're establishing credibility, you have cloud amongst you, get referral based, whatever, those are all things. So, how are you going to do it?
Yeah, it's funny as you're talking through that. I never thought I would be referencing BlackBerry as much as I would, but that allowed me to get a lot of my initial meetings. And it's true, because that's shaped how we look at the world, and how, like, BlackBerry was always a security company. It's just that they did phones and software, but building it from the core secure makes it a cybersecurity company. So that had a lot of weight, especially with some of the executives tend to be a little older. So it's referencing that, and then getting a few beachheads. Like, one of our early customers was a major MDR, so that's huge validation, and that was a big deal for us. So being able to get into banks by referencing different customers, it's really that leveraging your successes and your credibility. So it's a lot of talking. So
that's a lot. You got that right. It is a lot of talking. You have to keep repeating it over and over. Its repetition is crucial. I just had this conversation earlier today. There's a reason why Pepsi and them still have Super Bowl ads, right? The Super Bowl happens every year, but the same big companies, Anheuser-Busch, Coke, Pepsi, they still run Super Bowl ads. Why? Repetition. it gives you stability, and people expect to see it. So you got to keep shouting out the top of your lungs from wherever you are what you got going on, and who you've helped succeed.
Yeah. One thing I wasn't prepared for, or was kind of shocked at, like I thought if you were to put a really cool product in front of people, they'd buy right away. Then all of a sudden there's these things called sales cycles and budget cycles and
these things called
priorities. So but it's funny because now, after like initially 2 years ago putting the idea out there, I'm now starting to see customers come back or prospects come back after that time, because right now this is a priority for them. Their board is asking them to prioritize these things, and it's just funny that you planted the seed 2 years ago and now they're coming back. So
right.
And people will ask you in this Shark Tank type of world, what's your average sales cycle? And committed to figuring that out. In that week, I got 2 deals. One took me a week to close, and the other one took me 2 years to close. So thank you. I guess I'm at 52 and a half weeks or something, but it's just varying. And there's a lot of unexpected, and keep staying in the game. Like, you're dealing with a lot, right? So it's
yes. You're right.
Yeah. So, Nick, sorry, let's go with Mark. Mark, can you talk about maybe some a milestone, a success story along your journey, developing this product and bring it to the market?
Yeah. The one that really I think sticks out the most is about 8 weeks ago, in the period similar to what Nick's talking about, actually, within the period of a week, like 3 things happened at once. Like, as we say here, it's like buses, right? Nothing for a while, and all they come at one go. So within the space of a week, through using HighGround in our MSP, we actually signed a new support customer solely through the use of using HighGround to show them, in the prospecting phase, what their security was like and what it needed to be like. So that understanding, and we sold them at a higher seat price than we'd ever sold a contract before, over £100 a seat for support and security. Which I know those numbers are not quite as big as they are in the US, but they aren't over here. I don't have the comp for what it would have been in USD, probably over $250 a seat. Then almost simultaneously at the same time, we were running a lunch and learn in our prospecting phase, and we had a prospect in the audience ask if their MSP could buy the product so they could use it with them, instead of wanting to actually switch their IT to us, which was kind of disheartening and exciting at the same time. But it kind of showed what the customer really wants, which is to understand. And simultaneously, again, at the same time, we have a customer who's probably the hardest person in the world to sell anything to. And at the first sight of using HighGround to show his security, he invested over £5,000 in some upgrades that he needed to do, and over £700 a month in a security package. So early sales success just through using our own tool. Just made us realize, actually, this could be bigger than we even imagined it could be.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty incredible, having you as your MSP selling it, using it as leverage as a tool, then also having another MSP kind of it's pretty cool milestone to experience. And so, Nick, with you, what's a big kind of a milestone for yourself and your organization?
Yeah, well, the thing that sucks about being people's backup or their secret backup headquarters, you can't talk about it. So rather than tell you who we celebrated that we landed, I will say that one of the biggest milestones that we thought was great was when we heard from a customer who used ShadowHQ that made the difference in an actual incident. So they were able to orchestrate, and even still during that incident, there was the building's fire alarm went off, which was just yet another expect the unexpected. And they were all able to revert back to their mobiles, but continue executing their response plans. And that was all through ShadowHQ. So that was a huge milestone, that huge validation that it actually worked in the way we wanted it to work.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Sean, go ahead.
I was say that's awesome. Good for you, Nick. And I guess so. I have a question then. You're right. You can't even tell people who your clients are. So how do you do referrals?
But in smaller, less publicized ways. We actually have a few press releases coming out. We just signed a major firm, and it's a global firm and part of what they do is cyber advisory and response. We also have a major reseller coming on and signing, so Middle East, Africa partners on. So we'll be able to celebrate. And now we can ask up front, like, can we talk about you? And now some of them are starting to raise their hands. So that'd be great.
It sounds like you're going to need Mark in your life since he does cybersecurity sales pieces. So I don't know, maybe he can help you.
Yeah, so, maybe, yeah.
Maybe to work together, Nick.
Yeah, let's do it.
So PitchIT obviously is a competition. It's also a pretty grueling 16 weeks. Education session, workshops, live videos, a lot of podcasting with many different social people. Guest, I guess you said. Sorry, I was just drew a blank on like, I was like, host.
Social people.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. What are you looking to get out of the competition? What's the one thing you're looking to get out of it? Let's go with Mark. What are you looking to get out of it?
Brand awareness for us, because it's really hard to get MSP's eyes on what you're doing. They're just so busy. I think kind of what Nick was saying earlier, but you show someone a really cool product, and that's not enough. Which I was thinking absolutely resonates with me. It's really, really disheartening. And they don't see what you see either. So getting the opportunity to get out there, get people to see it, get people to hear what you've got to say about it, is golden. It's just one of the hardest. It's one of the hardest things.
Yeah, and so
I was gonna say, that's fair. So the thing is, brand awareness is so crucial. And while you're trying to attempt this, again, still trying to maintain the credibility and integrity of the conversation and who you guys are is difficult as well, right? So,
yeah, totally.
Right, I'm shutting up, Adam.
Yeah, I was just gonna go. So is it what you imagined the amount of work that you needed to do in the program, or is it more than what you thought? I'm just curious, Mark.
Go with more.
Yeah. I feel like a lot more than what you initially thought. Okay.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to be a walk in the park, right? But I knew I didn't. I've never spent so much time preparing what I'm going to say than I have now, which I think's the point, right?
Really I think I told you how much work it was. I'm pretty sure I told you in our conversation you have to work your ass off, right? No?
Yeah, you did. Couldn't measure it though.
Yeah, there's no measurement for that. So Nick, what are you looking to get out of the competition?
Well, I'm tied for two things. One is to be friends with Sean Lardo after this, and then the second, I mean, I have to agree with Mark. It's brand awareness, validation, and just reaching into the MSP ecosystem. So yeah, that would be the.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if I had to answer, was it as much work? Like, I find the sessions great. They're a bit different. I've been through an accelerator before. There's an exclusive cybersecurity one up here in Canada, as Canada-wide. I just came. It was actually last year, at the same time of IT Pitch, and I kind of sat thinking, should I have gone to do both last year? So I'm glad to be accepted into this one. But it's a different amount of work. I think we're a little conditioned for these type of activities, but yeah, it's nothing's free, so got to work.
Oh, for sure. So I'm gonna Nick, I'm gonna go right for you. What is the next big step for your ShadowHQ platform?
Yeah, I think we're just about entering it. So for us is to stepping up into the reseller and distribution. So our direct strategy was to tell the story and build the story, fine tune it, and now step into that partnership and that ecosystem of resellers and distributors. So that's our biggest next big step.
Awesome. Distribution. Mark, what about you? What's the next big step for you?
I'm trying to not get carried away with myself. That's my biggest problem. So our biggest step at the moment is just really working really closely with this first cohort of MSPs that we've got trial on HighGround and get them converted into revenue paying customers. And when we hit our first 50 customers, that's going to be the first one, and the first everyone is going to be a big goal. But I just want to get to revenue and really work hard with those MSPs to build out what they want. I don't mean like turning blue buttons to pink buttons. I mean really developing the core functionality that people see and need. Because whatever you have, it's never, this purest idea you have when you create something is never what it turns out to be when it enters into the world, is it?
No, it's always almost a 180 sometimes.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's why it's important to start with what are you trying to solve? What's the problem you're trying to solve, right? Because there's not one way to solve a problem, right? There's multiple ways, and they're not all the best ways either. So you start conceptually with I'm trying to solve this problem. How do I go about doing that? And then you walk its course, because and you think in your mind your vision is one thing, but once you get into developing this, there's a lot of different things that take place. There's variables. One is how good is your staff at developing. Two is where does it land on top of? Because obviously it's going to integrate somewhere. So how does it look when you do both? Does it match up to the industry? There's also industry expectations. There's standards, and you got to adhere to those. So, yeah, absolutely.
So with that, let's just one final question. I know we have a few more minutes left before I don't want to go back to back, right? So, Nick, the prize money, it's big money, $70,000. What would you do with the prize money?
Yeah, great question. I haven't thought about that, but it'll probably be some sort of sales and marketing investment. Maybe feed the marketing factory. I don't know. I'll probably attend IT Secure Nation next year for sure. And this year, actually to win it. So
I mean, IT Nation Secure is happening right now, Nick. IT Nation Secure is happening right now. We're here. You missed it.
I did. So
yeah. Mark, what about you? What would you do with that $70,000? It'd be in US, so conversion, I don't know.
Just make it. I was going to pretend it's like £70,000.
You're going to owe money from this. Congrats.
Exactly.
I think Nick makes a good point. It's probably going to go straight back to ConnectWise for marketing events.
That's what I like to hear. He goes back to IT Nation. I love it. Good, great. Look at that.
Marketing is really, really awesome. Yeah, when it comes to developing software and so forth, there's so many different things, right? It's hiring, developing staff, coding, programming, and it's something that resonated with me a little bit, Mark, with your story is, Nick, as well, as you're still running MSP, right? You're still in it day to day, and it's like, hey, what am I going to be able to do to keep this thing afloat? And this would be a big path for being able to continue that development, get that marketing, get to your sounds like you have a target of 50 clients, right, Mark? So I love hearing that. It's like, here's this goal. So
I mean,
Sean,
I think he sticks out for Nick as he talks about BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Can I change my answer? Maybe I'll put some of it towards a hair transplant.
Yeah, for sure.
For Mark, sorry, for Sean, that was for you.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, I've just owned the fact that I'm going to be bald forever. But the fact that you work for BlackBerry makes sense that you have a bald head also until he dated you.
So when I joined BlackBerry, I had youth and hair. So
yeah.
The irony is I've never cut my hair so much in my life since I've been bald.
I know, right?
Look, Adam wants to show off. Look here. Look at Adam's coif. He's like, look at my coif.
My locks.
Yeah.
But I'm always wearing a hat. Always wearing a hat. I like hats.
Yeah.
So really, I appreciate Nick, Mark. I really appreciate your time today. It's been awesome. I love enjoying hearing new organizations. I'll definitely check out ShadowHQ.io and HighGround.io. Awesome platforms, awesome products. Check them out and do a demo, and we'll see you guys at IT Nation Connect.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks, Sean, I'll see you later today.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Later.